Alright, Schlockmeister fans, another review from my previous channel, The Final Terror. Let's check it out. Our movie starts with a motorcycle accident in the woods. The girl leaves to go get help, but when she comes back, she finds Jim She doesn't fare much better. Bunch of guys are going camping in the woods. Mark Metcalf, Adrian's Med.
How many girls are coming along?
3.
Joe Panigliano plays Edgar, the bus driver.
Miles further from where we're supposed to go. Mill Creek's real dangerous. You don't want to take these kids out over there. Somebody might get hurt.
What the hell is the matter with you, Edgar? I thought we understood each other.
Rachel Ward is going along with them, as is Daryl Hannah. Edgar warns them about where they're going.
Don't need no clearing and the streams ain't no good.
He thinks they should go somewhere else.
They've never been up there. You're gonna have a lot of trouble with these dried out trees. They keep logs keep falling down, branches and stuff. A couple friends of mine got hurt up there a couple of years ago. One man was killed.
But they don't like Edgar, and they don't listen to Edgar. So he takes them where they want to go.
I about had it with his horse shit.
He tells a story about somebody else he brought up here once.
And I left him there. And ain't nobody ever found him since. Y'all hear me now?
Where there's campfires, there's ghost stories. Well, next day someone's missing, and they're looking for him.
2, 3. You guys didn't hear him around at all this morning, huh?
Looks like it's Edgar. Well, Mike and his girlfriend go swimming off on their own. When they decide to get intimate, two of them find a dilapidated shack. And of course they go inside.
Come on, let's go.
They find some interesting things in there.
Let's see what else he's got around.
Sicker than I thought it was.
While they sleep, they have a visitor come, who basically strokes their heads. Appears to be a woman's hand. Well, this woman is off exploring, and she finds that same dilapidated shack. And a body. They assume it's Edgar who's killing people.
Edgar! We're going to get you, man.
There's safety in numbers, so they're all kind of banding together here, which is a smart thing to do. You don't see often in horror movies, but they find some body parts in that shack.
There any mouse things in here?
Anyway, they decide to escape on a raft.
No more surprises.
But they're being watched. They find their way back to the bus, but it's not drivable.
Marshmallows.
Time to take off running again.
I'm stuck. I'm fucking stuck.
Daylight comes and they continue their trek. One of them got high.
I won't kill him.
Listen to me, Edgar. They're gonna get you, Edgar.
Here comes Edgar.
Where are you, Edgar?
You say too much. I told you not to come. But now you done it. You're gonna take your life. You're gonna take boy.
Well, they struggle. The others come to his aid, and they all start beating the crap out of Edgar. Is he the real killer? He warned them. While the one stone guy watches, someone pays him a visit. Apparently, it's Edgar's mom, and a tripwire is hit, and she gets skewered. That's pretty much our movie. All right, let's talk about The Final Terror. This is a movie I think I taped on beta tape back in 1985 or 86, probably 1986 or so. It showed up on cable. I'd never seen it before. And I watched it and I enjoyed it. I liked some of the gore. And in fact, I liked one of the opening sequences in there was when there was like a tripwire in the forest and they tripped it in a bunch of razor sharp, tops of cans that were used there to slice them up. And I know how sharp those things are because as a kid, I opened a lot of SpaghettiO cans, so I was aware of exactly how those things feel, and they are sharp, and that's what exactly happened there. So I thought that was kind of cool. But anyway, it's basically a typical 80s slasher where a bunch of, I don't want to say kids, because they're all like counselor age, they're like park rangers or something, or park ranger wannabes, I don't know. They're going out into the wilderness to do whatever. In fact, I don't even know what they were doing out there, but they went out there. Their bus driver is this guy named Edgar. He's played by Joe Pantoliano. And he's kind of a jerk, and he's a jerk to them. They don't like him, and he's recommending that they don't go up there, that they should go somewhere else. I have a better place for you guys to go. You should go there instead. They don't listen to him, though, and they just go where they're planning to go. And then, of course, they get picked off one by one. Although, interestingly enough, not a ton of them actually get killed in this movie. A couple of them do, and the rest of them kind of band together, and they all end up surviving for the most part. As the bodies start to pile up, they start to think that Edgar is the guilty person, so they're trying to find him, and he's not around at this moment. But near the end of this film, he does show up, and he's kind of almost like defending the person who is the real killer. And we find out apparently the killer is supposed to be Edgar's mother. And I don't know what Edgar's mother is doing out in the woods, but maybe that was why he was warning them to stay away from this area, whatever. You're all going to get hurt, blah, blah, blah. Or why he knows so much about it, to be honest with you. But yeah, so that's what happens in this movie. So at the end of this movie, Edgar shows up, and the rest of them jump on him. They pounce on him, and they start beating the crap out of him. And he may even be close to death at this point. I don't know. But then all of a sudden, this shaggy, gray-haired, muddy, dirty woman whose face you can't even really see shows up and slices the ankle of one of them like an Achilles heel thing. The guy falls and dies, I guess. And then she screams, and everybody looks at her, and that's kind of how our movie ends. And again, we're allegedly led to believe that that is Edgar's mother. So anyway, that's how The Final Terror ends. Now, it's a decent film, I think. Was there any nudity? I think there may have been one butt scene in this movie, a male butt. It may have been Mark Metcalf's, actually. Mark Metcalf's in this, Joe Pantoliano. Joe Pantoliano just did a movie called Another Stakeout where he played Mr. Christmas. It's a Hallmark movie. Yeah, but anyway, also stars Rachel Ward and Daryl Hannah, one of the guys from The Heavenly Kid, and the guy who played Marcus on The Jeffersons a few episodes. So, several years ago, in my review that I did for the movie Oasis, otherwise known as Savage Hunger, I mentioned that I'd met Mark Metcalf. He was on a radio show here in the Milwaukee area. He was just being interviewed because at that time he lived here and had a restaurant in Mequon, which is the county just north of Milwaukee. And he'd mentioned on the radio that he'd never seen one of the movies he was in, Savage Hunger. And my wife at that time asked me if I had the movie, and I didn't, but I tracked it down just so I could have some claim to fame. And I called him at his restaurant. I'm like, hey, I got that movie. You want to see it? And he's like, hell yeah, bring it down. He said, you know what? I've never seen The Final Terror either. You have that one? Which I did have, by the way. So I made him copies of those movies and brought him down to his restaurant, and he treated my wife and I to dinner and told us some stories. He was telling me about The Final Terror when that opened in New York, and there was a big billboard of him, and he said my butt was up there. Like his bare butt was on the billboard. So yeah, I think he had the only nude scene in this movie, a brief butt scene before he got killed. So anyway, that is The Final Terror. It's released on DVD as well as this Blu-ray here. Blu-ray was put out by Scream, and pretty decent. There is a thing at the beginning that says none of the original film prints could be found. They were all lost, so we did the best we could. Looks pretty darn good to me, though. One of the things, though, there's a lot of dark scenes in this movie because they filmed at night, and there wasn't a lot of light, so what can you do? A lot of dark scenes. Anyway, that's The Final Terror. I think it's a decent film. Apparently, it was filmed in 1981 and shelved for a couple years until Adrian Zmed, who was doing T.J. Hooker at that time, and Daryl Hannah started to have a little fame, so the guy was like, hey, I know those people. I got their movie. Let's put it out there. So they did. And that's where I originally got it. Like I said, it showed up on cable around 1985 or 6 or so. So anyway, check it out. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think about The Final Terror. Watch it. Bye.